Should he invest in startup? Should he invest in crypto? 60 billion! Cheers. Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Desi FIRE Podcast. Today we are going to talk about how millennials invest and we are doing this as a special edition Beer Pe Bakar. तो जहाँ तक millennials की बात है वो लोग typically इक्विटी में इन्वेस्ट करेंगे, रियल एस्टेट के अंदर करेंगे, गोल्ड में करेंगे, बॉन्ड्स में करेंगे. ये सारे ट्रेडिशनल रूट्स तो रहते ही हैं. बट उसके साथ साथ देयर आर अ फ्यू ऑल्टरनेटिव क्लासेस व्हिच हैव स्टार्टेड इमर्जिंग. स्टार्टअप इन्वेस्टिंग हैज बिकम रियली पॉपुलर ओवर द लास्ट 10 years. शार्क टैंक का भी इम्पैक्ट है इस पे. दूसरा, क्रिप्टो इन्वेस्टिंग हैज बिकम रियली पॉपुलर. आई थिंक कोविड के टाइम के बाद से दैट हैज टेकन अ जंप. If I remember correctly, India has more investors in crypto versus equity. If you look at it out the numbers which are there, तो ये classes emerge हुई हैं. और इसी के बारे में बात करने के लिए I have two of my friends today, Sharad Bansal and Ankit Agarwal. जो लोग हमारे चैनल को पहले देखते आए हैं उन्होंने शायद इनके पुराने एपिसोड्स भी देखे होंगे. और जो लोग पहली बार ज्वाइन कर रहे हैं उनको मैं बता दूं, शरद runs a venture fund called Warmup Ventures जिसके थ्रू वो स्टार्टअप्स के अंदर इन्वेस्ट करते हैं. एंड अंकित इज अ क्रिप्टो इन्वेस्टर who has been investing in crypto for a really long time. As a matter of fact, मैंने जब अपना पहला क्रिप्टो इन्वेस्टमेंट किया था तो उसके अंदर अंकित ने ही मेरी मदद की थी. एंड बीच में तो मैं इसको बहुत गली आया था कि भैया मेरा पैसा डुबो दिया तुमने, बट अब हालत ठीक हो गई है तो मैंने इसको बियर पीने के लिए बुला लिया है. सो वेलकम अंकित, वेलकम शरद, वेलकम टू द शो. चीयर्स. तो जी सबसे पहला सवाल, एंड वी डू दिस वन बाय वन. स्टार्टअप्स के अंदर शरद तुमने कब से इन्वेस्ट करना शुरू किया? पहला इन्वेस्टमेंट क्या था? हाउ डिड यू स्टार्ट ऑन दिस जर्नी?
I think my first investments happened in 2018 January. That is when I decided that okay, I have some additional capital that I can start investing after some of the liquid investments. And then we decided that okay, if I want to do more frequent investing in future, then let's learn this market first. So I invested into an accelerator which was supposed to invest smaller checks into several startups. So that was more of a knowledge investment. Of course, that came at a very good deal also. On paper, I have made about 20x there. But I think that was the time. And from then, I did about 5 angel investments before launching this fund in my personal interest.
फंड तो तुमने अभी लास्ट ईयर ही चालू किया है ना, 2020. एंड अंकित, व्हाट अबाउट यू? तुमने क्रिप्टो में कब से डालना चालू किया पैसा?
I mean, the first fund actually was like around circa 15-16. No, I'll hear the story though. And it was like, I think $200 investments into Bitcoin and actually bought from a Bitcoin ATM. So I was in Toronto at that time and there was just like sort of a Bitcoin ATM and opened up. Oh. So at that time it was just out of curiosity. I went and bought $100 worth. And then potentially another $100 worth, which was around at that time it was 0.2 BTC.
मतलब तुम $1,000 का था तब BTC तब बात कर रहे हैं. Exactly around that. मतलब 1,000 होगा, 1,500 होगा.
Pretty much, yeah. Wow. So that was sort of, but I mean, obviously stupid enough, right? Like never bothered, never sort of got into the space then. And then sort of came back to it, just starting investing around like 2018.
Okay, so still
yeah, and I remember like some of my initial buys, very small ones, right? That you also don't build that conviction that early. So there were like 500 rupee buys, 1000 rupee buys, and like Ethereum was around 28,000 IRR, right? So yeah, I mean like.
तो टोरंटो के अंदर मतलब क्या तुम एक जैसे इंडिया में ATM होता है गए वहाँ पे कार्ड गए क्या? How did it work at that point?
Legit, it was like an ATM.
Actual physical.
Yeah, it's a physical machine. Right? You sort of go put 100 like whatever. It takes cash. It didn't take card at that time. So it takes cash. And then it tells you like how much BTC has been bought, and it also tells you sort of where how you can store it, right? Because Bitcoin is not a physical.
हाँ मतलब मैंने डाल के वो तुमको कुछ निकाल के दे दिया वैसा कुछ.
You get like a receipt which gives you all the instructions of saying this is where they're stored, this is your address, this is how you can access it, right? So then there was a company or like a platform called blockchain.com, which still exists. So I could essentially, if I wanted to digitally sort of track that, I could, like, that 0.2 BTCY showed up in my blockchain account. And then from there I could see that this is what I have access to this point.
अच्छा, पर ये काम अभी भी होता है?
I'm sure. I just don't know which countries and all, but I'm sure there are enough places where you can like go to a physical location, buy Bitcoin through an ATM and...
भारत देश में?
I don't think so. I also don't know enough.
अच्छा, क्योंकि भारत में तो होता है, तो इंडिया के अंदर मेरे को एक वो याद है, आई थिंक यूनो कॉइन था,
हाँ,
जिसने वो बिटकॉइन एटीएम टाइप चालू किया था, वहां पे जाओ एंड यू कुड विड्रॉ कैश बेस्ड अपॉन व्हाट यू हैड इन योर वॉलेट. आई एम नॉट 100% श्योर कंपनी का नाम क्या था, शायद यूनो कॉइन था. यूनो कॉइन स्टिल एक्सिस्ट, बट वो जो भी कंपनी थी उसके मालिक को पुलिस धर के ले गई थी. आई रिमेंबर द गाय गेटिंग अरेस्टेड.
Yeah, India were unlikely. It's just because the regulation and everything is like a little crazy. But yeah, I mean, like, and you can always go into saying, what if I bought $1,000 worth, then all that, right? But yeah, so like seriously got into it 2018, and then I think at that time it was just mostly WazirX, BNS, just trying every Indian exchange you could. And then I think 2019 is when I went on chain, which is like I actually took money out of like a WazirX and put it into a self-custody wallet. And then explore all the applications that have been built there. And I think, yeah, after that, I think I've just stuck around.
I think हम पहला बार जो बिटकॉइन में पैसा डाला था, वो डाला था ना डिमोनेटाइजेशन के टाइम पे. जब डिमोनेटाइजेशन हुआ था, तो मेरा एक दोस्त बोला था कि कैश वूश को एडजस्ट करने के लिए तुम ये सब काम कर सकते हो. तो हम उसको बोला कि हाँ ठीक है यार, फिर मेरा 50,000 रुपया लेके डाल दे इसके अंदर. फिर उसका 3-4 दिन बाद कुछ उसका लंबा चौड़ा मेल मिल गया, चाहिए होता है ये करना वो करना. वो सब देख के मेरा भैया फट गया कि नहीं इतना हमको नहीं समझ में आता है ये सब, तो भैया मेरा 50,000 मत डालना. बोला सोच ले. लिटरल परचेज फर्स्ट आई परचेज would probably be via WazirX के थ्रू इन 2020 वो कोविड के बात की बात है. तुमने डाला पैसा क्रिप्टो में कभी कुछ?
मैंने यार ऐसे आई थिंक जब एक्सचेंजेस के ऑफर्स आते थे, दैट इज व्हेन आई थिंक आई वेंट टू अ इवेंट 2020 में की बात होगी, तो व्हेन दे वर गिविंग ऑफर्स ऑन क्रिएटिंग अकाउंट्स एंड देन ट्राई करता था. स्टार्टअप में फील आता था कि यार ये क्या चल रहा है आजकल एक्सचेंजेस में, ट्राई कर रहे थे, उस टाइप कुछ सिखाते थे. बट 2021-22 में वन ऑफ माय फ्रेंड्स क्रिएटेड दिस क्रिप्टो म्यूचुअल फंड काइंड ऑफ मॉडल.
अंकित रावत था, हाँ रावत का चालू हुआ, उसमें डाला था
अनदर अंकित. हाँ, तो उसमें मैंने एसआईपी क्रिएट की थी.
अच्छा,
मुझे लगा था कौन दिमाग लगाएगा, कौन समझेगा सेम स्टोरी की. यार मेरे पास इतना टाइम नहीं है कि मैं पूरी एनर्जी लगा रही हूँ उसको समझो. एंड आई फील कि बिना समझे लगाएगा तो फिर इट्स नॉट अ राइट इन्वेस्टमेंट. पर अगर समझ के लगाना था तो मेरे को लगा यार एक बंदा सोच रहा है अपन उधर लगाता है, तो मैं तो उसके मन में एसआईपी रखी थी. जितने महीने चलाता तब तक थी, फिर उसके बाद फंडी गेम ही रिटर्न.
हाँ वो अरे मैं बता रहा हूँ यार, रावत ने मीटिंग रखी थी एक अपना ये भी वैशाली नगर में जो क्वींस रोड पे ऑफिस नहीं है उसका, तो उसमें मैं भी गया था. अंकित को भी हम साथ में लेके गया था. हम लोग गए थे वहां पे, आराम से पिज्जा समोसा वगैरह खाए थे. एंड आई हैड मेड अप माय माइंड कि अच्छा हाँ भैया हम इसमें पैसा लगा रहा हूँ, लेट्स जस्ट वेट अ कपल ऑफ मंथ्स एंड 2-3 महीने के अंदर तो वो जो उसके बाद में क्रिप्टो मार्केट क्रैश हुआ है और कहानी खत्म हो गई. बट एज एन आइडिया आई बिलीव वो काम बहुत बढ़िया कर रहा था यार वो, कि अगर तुम एक कोई भी ऐसा फंड बना दो जिसमें लोगों को कुछ भी पता है, रेगुलेशन वगैरह जो है ना इंडिया में वो मारते थे. इफ देयर इज अ प्रॉपर वे टू इन्वेस्ट फॉर पीपल हु डू नॉट नो, दैट इज द आइडिया दैट ही वाज वर्किंग. द आइडिया हैड मेरिट.
हाँ, टैक्सेशन पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से भी इट वाज मच इजीियर और मच इजीियर सॉल्व हो जाएगा और इजीली. तो मतलब इंडायरेक्ट वॉलंटियर टेस्टर था प्रोडक्ट का, तो मैंने कहा चलो कुछ डालते भी हैं और ये तो अच्छा है ना, आपको दिमाग में लगाना पड़ता है, यू कैन गेट दैट काइंड ऑफ अपटेक.
टाइमिंग खराब थी. स्टार्टअप के अंदर ये समय लफड़ा बहुत रहता है कि मतलब गुड आइडिया, गुड फाउंडर, टाइमिंग अगर आपकी थोड़ी सी आगे पीछे हो गई तो लग जाएगा. तुम भी स्टार्टअप वगैरह में पैसा वैसा तो डालता ही है कोई?
Done very little, so not as a structure. I've done like 6 angel investments quote unquote.
6 angel investment तो भैया बहुत हो गया, ऐसा नहीं है.
But it's like, it's not like regular or whatever. It's mostly been friends and family, so it's not been like a real smart investment, so to say. It's a bunch of friends tried something and I'm like, okay, whatever.
As an angel investor, none of my investment was also very, very smart, I would say.
Yeah, for me the larger reason was these 20-year-olds are trying to sort of do something.
Yeah.
They send an update every month or every quarter. And that is a shortcut way of sort of it's also keeping yourself young, right? Like, because you see the hustle they have, and either product come hota ja raha hai. So for me, I knew like, and it's also like what I've read and heard is saying कि तुम 100 startup में invest करेगा तब it makes sense from a returns perspective. I knew I don't think I'm getting there. So it was 5 or 6 months largely just saying कि these friends are trying to do something, and then maybe I'll learn something as part of the process.
Something that we say that investing into a startup means becoming part of their journey, like living in their dream as well. जो चीज कई बार we wanted to do something, we wanted to solve this problem, अगर कोई और सुन रहा था चलो let's support it. That is how true angel investing works like.
Makes sense. मैं हम भी जो डाल रहा हूँ सारा जान पहचान कई लोग यार, क्योंकि पता ही नहीं रहता कि अच्छा हाँ ये कॉलेज में सीनियर था, ये दोस्त का दोस्त है, कुछ कर रहा है. इतना पता है कि आदमी बेईमान नहीं, पैसा लेके भागेगा नहीं. तो कौन सा कंपनी दैट वी माइट हैव हर्ड ऑफ जिसमें डाला है तुमने?
I have done in a thing called BharatX. They are essentially doing buy now pay later model. Fintech है. There's Bonomi, which is a little popular in tech circle, like Twitter circle.
Bonomi,
the cold brew lifestyle, like cold brew, cold coffee brand, and Arman is a great friend. Warman is a legend. Like he lives for coffee, right? So it was like, I mean, Arman was doing something, I would anyways say, hey, I'm here. So that Bonomi has been a good one. There's another which was an ex-Uber product manager. It's a company called Simplified, which is essentially, I mean, abhi to some AI, they were AI 3 years back also. They're like building a full marketing creative suite. Like तुम अपना video डालेगा, shorts अपने आप निकाल देगा, like that kind also.
Okay.
So yeah, these have been like pretty interesting sort of this spaces.
बोनोमी का तो भाई मैं जब पहली बार देखा था ना, मेरे को धोखा हो गया था, क्योंकि उनका जो बॉटल और पैकेजिंग वगैरह है ना, काफी वो बियर टाइप का उस टाइप को उन्होंने पैकेजिंग वगैरह करके रखा है. फिर देखा कि क्या है, फिर मैंने देखा और ढंग से मैंने पैकेज पढ़ा, अरे तो कोल्ड कॉफी बेच रहा है.
The funny thing is, Arman actually started something in the alcohol space first.
अच्छा.
So what they did is, obviously तो alcohol तो नहीं बेच सकता है, all the legality. So what they started with was like mixers and sort of giving you a context of how to make great drinks at home. So there is like, they have something called a BEM box, right? It was like a 1500, 2000 ka box. Usme they will put like stuff, which is mixers, bitters, और वो सब like a full cocktail accessorized box उन्होंने वैसे उसने start किया था. So he like he's like a sensibility shows.
हाँ, वो मेरे को लगा था मेरा स्टार्टअप वगैरह के अंदर जो भी रहा है ना, वो one of them caffeine करके एक है, that has worked very well. वो भैया एक कंपनी के अंदर हम डाला हूँ, and I think last month उन लोगों ने बोला है कि भैया हंडा तुमको इस साल हम पैसा वापस दे देंगे.
They just raised another round.
They haven't. They are in the process of raising another round. तो अगर वो कैफीन वाले फाउंडर लोग सुन रहे हो तो मैं पब्लिकली बोल रहा हूँ कि तुमने बोला है कि भैया इस साल पैसा आएगा, ताकि इस उम्मीद में हम हूँ.
अब वो आपको बोलेंगे कि आपने बोल दिया तो और भी लेगा.
देखो क्या, अरे यार भैया फिंगर फाउंडर है ना, मतलब सो उनका वो प्रेस रिलीज वगैरह आया था, हम लोग अगला राउंड रिलीज वगैरह कर रहे हैं, तो हम वो प्रेस रिलीज का फोटो लेके हम फाउंडर को भेजा, साथ में हम भेजा एक व्हाइट कलर की फॉर्च्यूनर, एक ब्लैक कलर की, कौन सी अच्छी लग रही है बता, आपको बुक कर देंगे. तो बोला कि अभी बुक में, अब बोला अभी थोड़ा टाइम लगेगा. मैंने कहा हाँ, बुकिंग के बाद में भी 3 महीना लगता है इसको आने में. तो बोला नहीं यार रुक जा, आएगा. तो उम्मीद में तो हम बैठा हूँ कि वो पैसा आएगा, लेट्स सी कब आता है.
फॉर्च्यूनर तुम फिर भी नहीं खरीद रहा है आने के बाद?
नहीं, स्टार्टअप एग्जिट होगा तो हम लूंगा फॉर्च्यूनर, तुम देखना.
जिस दिन फॉर्च्यूनर आ जाए समझना
हो गया कब
भैया से कॉफी में आ गए.
मूविंग ऑन अबाउट कि हम लोगों ने क्या कर रखा है एंड ऑल ऑफ दैट. नाउ हम लोगों का फाइनेंशियल स्टार्टर्स, हम लोगों का रिस्क टेकिंग एपिटाइट, हम लोगों की अंडरस्टैंडिंग बहुत अलग अलग है. कि तुमको स्टार्टअप्स के बारे में ज़्यादा पता है, तुम ज़्यादा वहाँ डालेगा, हमको मार्केट्स के अंदर म्यूचुअल फंड्स वगैरह में हम ज़्यादा डालूंगा एंड ऑल दैट. बट as an investor who is watching this right now, what would you suggest typically to a millennial about investing in startups? कि भैया तुम सोच रहे हो, ऐसे सोचो, ऐसे करो. And very similarly, how would you typically tell, let's say, a 35-40-year-old who's making, let's say, 50 lakh rupees a year, that is the candidate, 35 से 40 के बीच में है, 50 लाख रुपया उसकी दाम का है साल की, should he invest in startups? How should he do that? Should he invest in crypto? How should he do that? What would be your suggestion to
So I would suggest you're saying 50 lakh rupees of income. 50 लाख रुपए की इनकम में जो सेविंग्स या इन्वेस्टमेंट वो करेगा तो 15-20 लाख रुपए का टाइप्स करेगा. So they can start taking some exposure by making 1 or 2 deals. So maybe they can do a couple of investments of 2 to 3 lakhs rupees, and they can have that digest कि यार वो risk ले सकते हैं. And few years down the lines, they can start becoming a part of fund. कि यार ठीक है, now I can commit 10, 20, 30 lakh rupees of the year. But by that time 20 lakhs उनका पूरा saving investment है, तो उनके केस में I think becoming a part of the VC would not be feasible. But what they can do is कि they can join these platforms called AngelList, Let's Venture. There are a lot of angel network platforms. Most of them are free as well. So वहाँ join करो and understand that how startups working and build your appetite. And maybe at a time when you have a higher income or higher disposable income, that is the time when you can be like, easy. Now I can increase my pace of investing into.
So let me ask you a different question. कि किस level पे आके do you think that it becomes more sense? Will it be at a salary package of 1 crore per annum, or would it be once you have liquid net worth of let's say 3 crores or 5 crores? क्या parameters तुम रखेगा?
So जो legally अगर आप देखोगे AIFCB की definition में ये है 1 crore of annual income or 2 crore of net worth. That is when you are eligible. But what I would
अच्छा उसके पहले eligible ही नहीं हो.
So
कहानी खत्म हो गई भाई यार. 1 crore income और 2 crore के पहले तो eligible ही नहीं हो.
So 2 crore net worth is a lot of people get eligible. Like 1 crore income people will not get eligible, but 2 crore net worth a lot of people, because people will have like 50, 60 lakh 1 crore का घर होगा, गाड़ी होगी. So net worth of 2 crore is a lot of people get eligible, not just of income. तो बट हाउ आई वुड सी इज लाइक अगर आप 40-50 लाख इन्वेस्ट कर रहे हो, 50 लाख रुपए इन्वेस्ट कर रहे हो कहीं पे भी, वेदर इट इज रियल एस्टेट और गोल्ड और पब्लिक मार्केट्स एनीवेयर, देन यू कैन स्टार्ट टेकिंग एक्सपोजर्स बाय अ स्मॉल माइक्रो बेसिक फंड जो कि आपसे 25-30 लाख रुपए का कमिटमेंट न्यू लेते हैं, एंड देन देयर एनुअल ड्रॉ डाउन वुड बी अराउंड 10-15 लाख रुपीस. दैट इज वेयर आई वुड, दैट इज अ बेटर मॉडल देन इन्वेस्टिंग डायरेक्टली इन द कंपनीज, because your money is being consciously invested after a lot of this.
There is an expert who is doing it. Investing directly in equity versus going a mutual fund.
So I think that when you have 50 lakhs of annual investment is the time when I would suggest you have 20% of ज़्यादा.
अच्छा हाँ. So the parameter should not be salary या net worth. तुम साल का 50 लाख अगर तुम invest कर रहा है तो उसमें से तुम 10 लाख
खर्चे अलग अलग है, सबकी लाइबिलिटीज अलग अलग है, तो सेविंग्स पे इवैल्यूएट करो.
That is a better idea. अभी तो बड़े लोग का गेम हो गया भाई. तुम बताओ 10 रुपया में हमको क्रिप्टो खरीद रहे हैं तो हम खरीद सकते हो. हमने ऐड देखा है 100 रुपया के अंदर चालू
टोकनाइज मिल जाएगा.
टोकनाइज क्या आप टोकन भी करेंगे क्या है कितना भी.
हाँ बट कर सकते हो इस डिफरेंट कब करना चाहिए तुम्हारा.
So I mean I want age range then I would almost say it's also saying crypto is not only just money investment, it's also a time investment. Right? So for example, if you're early like 25, 26 or even younger, I would actually recommend like you don't have to buy crypto, you can earn crypto. So what I mean with that is like there is enough opportunity out wherein you could just create memes for like a crypto project, you could just do a lot of tech work, right? A lot of commercialized work, and just like that you get paid in crypto. Like if you're great at community, you know Discord, you can get hired as a moderator, right? And you can choose to sort of get paid in crypto, right? So for me, like if you have time on your hands, right, and like you want to do something, I would recommend earning crypto is a better sort of argument to just investing, because then वो 10 रुपए का argument ही खत्म हो गया.
हाँ वो मेहनत का कमाई.
And crypto is amazing because permissionless है almost, तुम्हें apply करने का जरूरत नहीं है. Like for example, there are a lot of projects who will reward you if you sort of help them create amazing memes, distribute tweets, right? Technically marketing हो रही है उसकी.
क्या हो रहा है दुनिया में? लोगों बनाने का पैसा देने का.
There are so many like NFT projects and crypto projects that will give you free stuff or like access to like their products. If you're a great moderator, right? You're anyways hanging out in the community. You love talking to people. You can get paid for it, right? Like there are so Akshay was like a super guy. He runs this thing called Super Team now. It's essentially sort of community creation and curation for Solana. And like that's what they do. Like these 16-year-olds are just going applying for grants, projects, getting paid in crypto. So that's sort of my thing of saying if you have the time to give it, right, you don't have to worry about investing, right? And you can just
learn
right?
crypto.
And I think as you sort of go on the other spectrum, which is saying I don't have the time to sort of hang out in these communities or whatever. Like for me, I think like it depends on your sort of risk appetite and all that. But I'm saying even 1% of your net worth, right? Or if 1% of your net worth, you can just see, I wanna just go do BTC and ETH, right? Like forget everything else. I mean, there are tons of opportunities. I'm just saying you take BTC and ETH, right? And you just saying, जो मैंने तेरे को recommend किया, right? Which is saying take 5,000, 10,000, whatever sort of money you're saying कि यार ये मैं डालते ही मैं बोलूँगा zero हो गया, right? So if you have a net worth of 10 lakhs, right? 1% of that is what?
10,000.
Right? Now if you like, that's what I tell people who are skeptical and say कि, I'm like, does that if it goes off tomorrow, zero tomorrow, you're still okay, right? And then that also saying just take 5,000 in BTC, 5,000 in ETH and just sort of get your way around, right? So that's sort of my approach to saying it's a very and the way I tell people is saying कि at the left extreme आप इसको gambling मान लो, ठीक है? जिस तुमने ही समझ में आता, I don't argue and debate, right? I'm just saying gambling तो ना लॉटरी का टिकट खरीद लिया, ठीक है? So that is one extreme. The other extreme is essentially like it's very akin to saying when internet was happening, right? It's essentially as a technology or as a sort of a construct, like whole blockchain and crypto could also be a space where you're saying I'm investing in the fringe economy, right? Which is saying today mainstream नहीं होगा. I mean technically mainstream हो गया. अभी BlackRock ETF खरीद रहा है तो उससे ज़्यादा mainstream आपको कुछ.
We'll come to that.
But my thing is you're saying I'm investing in something that is at the edge or like cutting edge of tech. Now it might go to zero. But the upside, which is the startup thing we're talking about, right? Why do you invest in startup? तुम 2x के लिए नहीं कर रहा है ना? You're doing you're saying a 20x or a 0, 10x or a 0, right? So that is sort of my spectrum of saying you can start with 1% of your net worth. And like at some point, if you want to be completely risk off, I'm saying I don't think it should go beyond 5%, right? But it's also there are people who are like 30%, 40%. वो एक point के बाद A is your conviction. Right? Because at some point all this tech also becomes religion, right? I can tell you 100 ways of why Bitcoin should be 70,000 or 700,000 or all that. But at the end of the day, your conviction matters, right? If you're sold into it, then you can even take it to 10%, 25%, whatever sort of your risk appetite is, right? But I think my only argument is 1% of your net worth is like for a potential tech or even monetary opportunity, right? It's good. So
1% to 5%.
It's a good sort of, you won't lose your sleep over it, right? Like that's my argument.
डूब भी गया.
तुम मान लो ना कि तुम बिलीव ही नहीं करते इसमें, तो भी अगर तुम्हारा 2% ऑफ नेटवर्क डूब भी गया,
हाँ तो 6 महीना में 2-3 महीना में तुम वैसे ही अपने बाकी पोर्टफोलियो से कमा गए.
So I'm saying don't just leave it out, right? कि 1% में तुम्हारा कुछ नहीं जाता, and it like now it's seen enough cycles. तो also know कि zero तो unlikely है. It might have its sort of moments.
This is where a lot of things. भैया zero तो unlikely है. ये
who better to say? I am a lunar investor.
So जैसे मेरा जो पूरा पोर्टफोलियो है क्रिप्टो का, it is just BTC and ETH. मेरे पास में और कुछ है ही नहीं, क्योंकि कभी कुछ खरीदा था बेच दिया. But so बहुत recently calculate किया 1.1% of my portfolio is right now in crypto to be precise, and that's broadly BTC and ETH. Now for someone like you, तुम्हारा तो BTC and ETH में तुम्हारा भी एक एक्सपीरियंस क्रिप्टो इन्वेस्टर का भी मेजर पैसा BTC ETH में ही रहता है, या कि नहीं सोलाना और वो जो बाकी भी और मेरे को पता भी नहीं कौन कौन से डोज कॉइन इन सब के अंदर रहता है, कैसे?
No, so I think for me, like BTC ETH would potentially still be like a 70%, right?
Okay.
But it also changes, right? Because it's one of those things, right? Like you almost think of saying तुम large cap नहीं बेचता है, small cap तो probably you will churn out at some point, right? Because you know frothy हो रहा है or whatever. So like there was a point where I was like 90% in BTC, but then for example in the last few months where the markets have been there, you obviously your meme coins, your Solana, and Solana is not even a meme coin, right? Like Solana is very legit, right? It's gotten to a point where you will start clubbing it with like a BTC. It's pretty like the network activities, like legit तुम जो tech company को evaluate करता है, like all those metrics are also going up. It's just not the price going up, right? So it's fairly sort of there out there, right? But I'm saying कि अभी if you ask me, it's like a little less BTC because you know that the opportunities are bigger in sort of the Doges of the world or the Papes of the world, right?
नहीं तो ये मीम कॉइन क्या होता है और शिट कॉइन क्या होता है, ये एक ही कोई चीज है दोनों?
काइंड ऑफ शिट कॉइन ऑलमोस्ट मीम कॉइन अगर वो अच्छा बड़ा हो जाता है तो वो मीम कॉइन. शिट कॉइन इज बेसिकली सेइंग कि उस कॉइन में कुछ नहीं है, लाइक तुम इथेरियम में इन्वेस्ट कर रहा है, there's an argument, right? कि Ethereum as a foundation makes money.
Okay.
It's a very legit company, right? BTC is a tech. आपको पता है कि 21 मिलियन ही एग्जिस्ट करता है, तो उसका असली रिसोर्स आर्गुमेंट और
उसको पता है, हमको नहीं पता है.
मतलब चलो BTC का तुम्हें इतना सिंपल है कि भाई 21 मिलियन ही एग्जिस्ट करता है, तो आपको बाकी सब टेक भूल जाओ, डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड लेजर भूल जाओ, सब भूल जाओ. 21 मिलियन है तो इट्स अ स्कार्स एसेट, तो इसलिए उसकी वैल्यू है. इथेरियम बिकॉज मेक्स मनी, लेजेंड यूज केस व्हाटएवर है, राइट? बट देन इमेजिन यू लॉन्च अ कॉइन व्हिच इज एन हंडा कॉइन, ठीक है? उसका कोई पर्पस नहीं है, तुम कभी रेवेन्यू नहीं बनाएगा, राइट? तो टोकन का वैल्यू क्या होता है, राइट? यू विल से कि अच्छा एट सम मल्टीपल ऑफ रेवेन्यू, जैसे तुम इक्विटी वैल्यू करते हो, राइट? सो फॉर अ शिट कॉइन स्लैश मीम कॉइन देयर इज जीरो सॉर्ट ऑफ फंडामेंटल्स,
Okay.
right? Which is Doge. Doge has literally like no legit use case or a company behind or whatever. Some dev randomly launched a kutte ka image and that is a very popular Doge as a meme. So which is saying, you're saying there are coins who have value by the inherent nature कि वो कितने memeable है, क्योंकि memeable है तो distribution है, virality है, और at the end of the day पैसे का value is, yes, I mean that's fundamental, but at the end of the day as long as you and me agree कि ये 100 रुपए का worth है,
तो है.
and that is why Doge goes to a $60 billion market cap. $60 billion on something that has no...
$60 billion?
It's just because of the right image.
No, it's just the memeability of it, right? Like for example,
60 billion.
इस cycle का there's a coin called Pe, right?
Okay.
PEP, अब वो Pe भी बोलते हैं, Pe, I'm not fighting that. It's just one of the like insane like Peep the Frog.
But memeability, how do you evaluate?
Meme Peep the Frog. Right? It's अब वही बात है कि मतलब it's not mainstream, but like the shittiest argument is छोटा भीम coin, for example, on the other end of it, which is saying something which is immediately sort of recognizable, and then community gets behind it, right? Which is saying मैंने खरीद लिया, मैं bag holder हूँ तो ना, it is my incentive to put it out there and get more people to buy it. तो तुम Ponzi बोल ले, कुछ भी बोल ले, but the thing is meme coins are essentially saying something that is just insanely sort of gives somebody a common reason to get around and put it out there in the world. So for example, this cycle ka is Peep, right? There are people who bought like Peep at like when it was like 12,000 market cap. अभी $3 billion market cap है उसका. और करता क्या है वो? कुछ नहीं करता है.
चल क्या रहा है यार?
So long story short, like this is the time you'll buy a lot of those, right? But it's also because I have a very high risk appetite. The other thing also is कि तुम जब तक exchanges पे wait करेगा ना कि तुम वजीरेट से डोज खरीद ले, तब तक तुम इमेजिन कर वो वजीरेट पे लिस्ट होता है जब वो 5 बिलियन 10 बिलियन का होगा. तुम उसको 100 के वैल्यूएशन पे खरीद सकता था अगर तुम ऑन चेन होता, मेटावर्स में तो बस होता, तो यूनिस्वैप पे जाता. तो like that I think is the edge, right? So my thing is कि अगर if you're tech savvy and you just sort of want to make that extra effort, that's where the edge is. Like just don't buy it on exchanges and wait for that price pump to happen. Go take that money on chain, experience. Like थोड़ा सा ना, it allows you to build a better conviction. When you go and experience की वो जो ethos है ना, decentralized and all that, वो तुम उधर जाएगा तो तुम्हें पता लगेगा कि tech का काम क्या है, right? So it helps you build conviction, right? It's as simple as that.
Fair. Exchange पे list होना would for a coin would be similar to an IPO for a startup.
Kind of. Every exchange has a different rule. See, for centralized exchanges, right? One issue is also they have to be a little more. वो जो होता है ना कि कोई ऐसा कोई लिस्ट हो गया जो एक मिनट में 90% नीचे चला गया, तो चाहे एक्सचेंज का रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है या नहीं है, जनता पीछे पड़ जाता है ना. सो एक्सचेंजेस विल हैव सम सॉर्ट ऑफ पैरामीटर्स टू से कि एक सर्टेन मार्केट कैप होगा इस कॉइन का तो ही हम एक्सप्लोर करेंगे. इतनी लिक्विडिटी भी होनी चाहिए क्योंकि एक्सचेंज अगर कल को सब लोग इतना खरीद लिया देन liquidity and all that, right? So Coinbase has like much harsher rules to list a coin because US regulatory or all that, right? There would be shady exchanges that will list any and everything क्योंकि उनको liquidity चाहिए, मतलब तुम trade करेगा तो exchange पैसा बनाएगा.
Okay. So for investors today in India जिनको बहुत ज़्यादा आइडिया नहीं है, let's say crypto में जाना है तो BTC and ETH are the two options. And are there any reliable exchanges that you can name कि अच्छा यहाँ से खरीद लो which is reliable for Indian audience?
I would like to thank my sponsors, GetBit.in, that made this podcast possible. GetBit is a Bitcoin-only platform that makes it easy for you to get started. I have used GetBit and it is really easy to use. Please visit GetBit.in to start your Bitcoin journey.
I think for me the issue also is very difficult to say कि exchange reliable है या हमारा regulation reliable है. So for example, a lot of these like CoinDCX and ZeX and all that, right? A lot of times where they lost trust was saying sometimes deposits were paused, sometimes withdrawals were paused. तुम एक बैंक अकाउंट वो बोलते हैं इस बैंक अकाउंट में NEFT कर दो, 4 दिन बाद बोलते हैं अब इसमें कर दो. So for me reliability, like I think CoinDCX or ZeX, Mudrex और भी कितने सारे हैं. And like with PMS also, whatever there is public drama around it, I never had a single issue taking a rupee out of it, right? Neither did you. So for me, I think there are reliable exchanges in there. It's just the issue is really, I think the regulatory environment, because तुम eventually तेरा withdrawal अगर CoinDCX में या ZeX से रोका, तुम गाली तो ZeX को नहीं देना.
मैंने पैसा उसको दिया है तो पैसा तो उसी को ही दूंगा.
But they get the blame, but sometimes they don't even control that environment. भाई उनको बोला जाता है कि अब ये नहीं कर सकते तुम. So I mean that's sort of my argument of saying कि exchanges reliable हैं. See, dude, CoinDCX is also too big to take your money and go away. I mean, I know it's happened in the past, but I'm just saying they're legit. The founders out there sort of building the narrative for crypto on Twitter. तो ऐसा नहीं है कि वो कल तेरा पैसा लेके भाग जाएगा. So it's not that they are not reliable. It's just a sort of UX of depositing, withdrawing, uncertainty sort of makes it a little challenging. But ठीक है, I mean, all of these platforms are pretty good.
Fair. अगर हम इन्वेस्टिंग वगैरह की स्टार्टअप के अंदर या क्रिप्टो के अंदर बात करें तो व्हाट इज द बिगेस्ट बेनिफिट दैट यू सी आउट ऑफ इट फॉर एन इन्वेस्टर कि हाँ तुमको अगर एक रीजन देना है कि दिस इज द रीजन व्हाई यू शुड बी इन्वेस्टिंग इन स्टार्टअप्स और दिस इज द रीजन व्हाई यू शुड बी इन्वेस्टिंग इन क्रिप्टो, व्हाट वुड दैट रीजन बी?
It's a knowledge along with capital gains. So this is the space where when you invest into startups, the startups are in different categories, different kind of innovations and new technologies that they're using. I mean, as an individual, you can be involved into 1, 2, or 3 businesses, right? And then you get into so many of their operations that you don't get to learn how the world is moving and all. While the startup investments are going to give you a multi-X returns, then you also get to know that how they are growing. How they're growing in terms of marketing, in terms of technology, in terms of product. That is the knowledge and that is the experience that you get. And then you get to talk to those. I mean, if you're a larger ticket investor, then you get to talk to whatever mechanism it is. You get to talk to the people who are how they're building and how it is growing. So that experience is something which comes. I mean, it's something that intangible, but someone smart will be able to make a lot of value out of the knowledge and learnings that they're getting. But in terms of if you look at the returns, but of course if I only talk financially, there are several asset classes. There is a different quality of risk and different quality of returns there. But when you look at the adjusted wise, then it will be like almost 5 to 10% surplus to the public markets of IRR. But in terms of if you look at exceptional cases that the people who invested into Swiggy's first round would have made about 2500x. Or someone in Ola's would have made about 1500x. So these are exceptions, and I don't say that okay you will make that much money. Adjusted level, all losses as profits, you will make about depending on the stage you're applying, you will get that advantage. लेकिन जो knowledge आती है, जो आपको as an angel investor, as an early stage investor, that you feel that okay you get to be part of those companies. So like how Ankit was mentioning about the company where he invested and passionate about what they're doing. How much stake he would be holding in those companies? Less than point percent some equity, right? But the passion is being part of something which is big happening. Imagine if you would have been the 0% investor on SpaceX on the day one. Like you feel like you were part of something really big happening. So all of those things, I mean, all of those technologies, whichever companies or whichever sectors, whichever founders, you feel like okay, you cannot be operationally involved in that company, but you are part of it. That is something big value which a lot of investors see beyond the financial money, financial capital, the financial gains they're getting. So I think
that makes it a convincing enough argument to get into startups.
Absolutely.
Paisa to hai, but you do get to learn a lot.
Absolutely.
Fair. What about crypto?
How number go up, man.
but this is something Ankit I've known for a while. I think 2 हफ्ता पहले की बात है, हम जैसे बहुत एक्साइटेड होते अबे आरबीआई का जीसेक आया है, जीसेक का रेट जो है वो 7% 7% हो रखा है, उसमें पैसा डाल दे. 7%, 7.25% पे कुछ मुझे ईयर बोला बोला 7% अ डे तो जो है ना वो तो हमको मतलब 7% अ डे पे तो आई एम it doesn't move my radar 7% a day पे तो
okay, jokes aside, right? Like there are two sort of people, right? Risk off, risk on, or the prudent kind or the crazy kind, right? I'm the crazy kind, fully risk on. Right? For whatever reason, I know it's not prudent and I know your company has made me buy a G-Sec. Sorry, I'm not proud of it. But
हाँ, for the record हम इसको G-Sec खरीदवा दिया finally.
Yeah, I made him buy crypto, which is up 50%. He made me buy G-Sec, that gave me 7%. No, but so
That's why he's getting the 3 year.
That's why you're getting the free beer.
So my argument is very simple, right? अगर आप completely risk off हो, so there's a barbell strategy, right? Which is saying कि आप एक extreme पे you're completely risk off assets, mutual fund, NCD, whatever government bond, right? And तुम्हारा 95% portfolio उसमें है, तो as an investor you're saying 95% is secure. I'm just saying that 5% of the other end of the barbell could be just completely risk on, right? तो मेरा point वहाँ पे है कि फिर तुम equity के अंदर 15%, 20% में लगा रहा है. Why not just go completely? Go put some 2% of your net worth in startups. Why 0 to 20x, 0 to whatever, right? Crypto also, it's just completely high risk assets. So because then you're saying, yeah, marking my capital is preserved at 6%, 7%, though I can take 5% and shoot for 100 or a 0. So that is the like a pure monetary argument of saying, कि अगर आपके पास, why should you do it in crypto? It's a fringe asset today, right? BlackRock is legitimizing it today. So now you like narrative बनाने के लिए आप कुछ भी बना हुआ है, $1 trillion asset management company है, वो Bitcoin का access देगा client को. So you can get sucked into that argument and say कि तो जा रहा है. Or the other way is saying कि मेरा at the end of the day it's the other end of the barbell which is completely risk on. I'll either lose my capital or it could still put like, I mean, funny enough, right? I don't get jaded anymore. But like there are enough people who believe Bitcoin is going to 1 million, 500,000. So I don't buy into that argument होगा नहीं होगा. But I'm saying अगर 60K से वो 600K भी है तो भी it's a 10x. So which other asset class sort of today
Can give you,
and which is relatively legitimized. I'm talking Bitcoin, right? I'm not talking these meme coins that go from 100 to 100,000 in 2 weeks, right? So for me, that's my sort of argument, right? As to why you should invest is saying, or the thing is, आप करोगे invest, it at least the argument he made, right? It's just saying थोड़ा knowledge भी आता है. तो मतलब there is a universe which says Bitcoin is the future of finance, right? Which is saying बहुत argument है कनाडा में जो हुआ ट्रकर्स के साथ की गवर्नमेंट ने उनके बैंक अकाउंट ही फ्रीज कर दिए. So if you go into the extreme argument of saying why would you not at least have some exposure to an asset class that cannot be frozen, that is truly yours, right? You can take any argument, but my thing is anywhere like a 1% investment, अगर आप fully risk on हो तो भी चलता है. आप fully risk off हो, you absolutely need something that can potentially generate like कोई 6%, 7% का argument is barely greedy inflation. So then you need an asset class that will not give you 15% that potentially gives you a short at 150. So that's sort of my argument of like clear and simple.
fair. So, but now coming to the negative side of it, both with Bitcoin and with startups, it is very easy to go to zero as well. And I'm sure both of you would have had experiences. As someone who's starting today, I know कि luck एक बहुत बड़ा element है, but what is it? कुछ basic चीजें जो कि मैं कर सकता हूँ when I'm making a startup investment or a crypto investment, कि zero जाने की probability कभी भी खत्म तो होगी नहीं, but what are some of the things that I can do to reduce my risk in startup investments or crypto investment? कि अच्छा इन 2-3 चीजों का ध्यान रख लिया तो chances जो है वो थोड़े better हो गए. Is there anything that I can do which makes my life a little bit simpler, reduce the risk which exists in startups or in crypto?
Like if you're doing a अगर आपको individual investment करना है, if you're doing on your own directly into the company, then I think whichever sector or whichever company you are doing, try to do that competitive analysis very, very well. In competitors ने क्या किया है, how they are raised, what benchmarks have been there in terms of multipliers, at what stage they failed, what stage their successes, and why they failed. Is it a factor which is still going to be causing a risk here, or is it that solid or something else might come in? That is something like avoiding the controllables, like whatever controllable risks are there, like if you're liking the founder or not, you're resonating with them or not, if the market size is there or not. So you bring a technology which is game changing, but there is no market size of it. And you are just investing for the sake of that, okay, this is such an innovative product, I should be investing. But if it doesn't have any market size, then who will be adopting it? And then in startup investing works like that, someone has to buy the next round, someone has to invest in the third round, fourth round, fifth round, and then eventually it has to reach IPO. So people might give you a logic that, okay, we will grow steadily and at a 10% rate. But unless they are a cashless company, how would you get exit ever? So thinking about exits, that how and when I'm going to sell, if everything controllable is going fine, अगर कुछ अनकंट्रोलेबल इवेंट हो गया उसको तो कुछ नहीं कर सकते, बट एवरीथिंग गोज एज पर प्लान, तो मेरा एग्जिट कब आएगा, तो उतना भी सोच लोगे तो यू विल डू अ मच बेटर डिसीजन मेकिंग इन टर्म्स ऑफ इन्वेस्टिंग. ये करना, क्योंकि यहाँ क्या है, पब्लिक मार्केट में यू हैव एक्सेस टू द डेटा ऑफ कॉम्पिटिटर्स, प्राइवेट मार्केट में यू डोंट हैव दैट, एंड दैट इज व्हाई नाउ आई कम टू द पॉइंट इज कि वन शुड आल्सो एक्सप्लोर कि यार फंड्स के थ्रू करना स्टार्ट करें. मेक नेटवर्क. I'll give you a classic example of a lot of LPs in India who are family offices. They will be LPs in 3 to 4 funds, and then they will have their own family office. So they get a lot of knowledge capital, and then they're also directly investing into the companies. So this is the way which ultra HNI or a high net worth individual, जिसके पास पैसा है,
थोड़ा सा डिटेल में बताइए लोग क्या कर रहा है.
So जैसे काफी सारे फैमिली ऑफिसेज हैं, किसी के पास जो रिच फैमिली ऑफिसेज हैं, किसी को 50 करोड़ में इन्वेस्ट करना है, तो वो क्या करेगा कि यार
उसको 50 करोड़ स्टार्टअप्स के अंदर डाल.
हाँ, 50 करोड़ या 10 करोड़ स्टार्टअप्स के अंदर डालने, मान लो 10 करोड़ एग्जाम्पल लेते हैं, तो वो क्या करेगा, 10 करोड़ में से 5 करोड़ रुपए फंड्स के थ्रू इन्वेस्ट करेगा, 5 करोड़ रुपए खुद इन्वेस्ट करेगा, 5 करोड़ रुपए वो 3 फंड्स के थ्रू इन्वेस्ट करेगा. one or two of them could be agnostic, one or two of them could be sector focused if he the strategy आ रही, तो वहां पे वो फीस भी भर रहा है, कैरी भी कर रहा है. 5 करोड़ की वो डायरेक्टली इन्वेस्ट करेगा, हमें खुद का टाइम है, नो कैरी इन्वॉल्व. And this is where you are reducing your overall fees and carry, correct? And you're getting the knowledge from 3 VC funds on the country.
अच्छा, तुम ज्ञान और इंसाइट्स और कॉम्पिटिटर का क्या चल रहा है वो सब क्या चल रहा है
वो कर रहा
गेम बढ़िया भाई.
तो जितना ज्यादा पैसा है उतना बेटर गेम कर पाओगे. बट अगेन अगर आप छोटे भी इन्वेस्टर हो, अब इसी एग्जांपल को ले आओ 1 करोड़ पे, अगर आपको 1 करोड़ इन्वेस्ट करना है अगले 3 साल में, तो भी आपको 1 करोड़ रुपए, अगर आप बड़े फंड में जाते हो तो 1 करोड़ नहीं जमा, अगर आप इंडियन फंड्स में जाते हो तो आप 25 लाख से नहीं करते, तो आप 1 या 2 फंड्स के पार्ट बनो, 20-25 लाख रुपए छोटे छोटे खुद भी करो, तो यू लर्न एज वेल एज यू आर गेटिंग कैपिटल इफ यू हैव दैट बैंडविड्थ. तो हर किसी के पास बैंडविड्थ नहीं है, बट इफ यू आर कमिंग फ्रॉम टेक बैकग्राउंड, if you like to do direct investing, तो you can do. That is what you can do. I never ask people कि आप direct करो ही मत. If you have bandwidth and time, तो आप कर सकते हो, but always have some exposure into VCs that brings you connection, that brings you a lot of knowledge also. So I think this is the approach one should follow.
ये फैमिली ऑफिस वगैरह का क्या इंडिया में, मतलब इज देयर अ बिग इनफ स्पेस फॉर दिस फैमिली ऑफिसेस? ये भाई, मतलब देयर आर few people who are there, but
I mean, someone who is having 100 crore rupees SMEs, several SMEs, Jaipur के अंदर, if you talk about Jaipur, there would be almost 500 families who will have 100 crore plus exposure into public
हम लोग को एक्सेस नहीं है.
आपको पता ही नहीं है भैया, ऐसा लोग हैं जयपुर में 500 लोग हैं जो कि 100 करोड़ का अपना पोर्टफोलियो देखे.
Absolutely, there are, and उनको क्या करना है, अब अभी क्या है कि they are only either real estate or commodities or public markets, private market,
Real estate?
कमोडिटीज हो गया, कुछ भी या पब्लिक मार्केट हो गया, लेकिन कुछ भी कमोडिटी लो, गोल्ड भी सब मान लो, मेटल्स भी मान लो, लेकिन स्टार्टअप्स में अब हम उनको ये बोलते हैं, आप 100 करोड़ रुपए आपका पोर्टफोलियो है तो 1% 2% सोचो. तो सेविंग इकोनॉमिक्स वर्क फॉर अ प्रोफेशनल्स, हम जो वर्किंग क्लास होते हैं, जो सैलरीज आते हैं, उनके लिए सेविंग इकोनॉमिक्स वर्क. बट अगर किसी के पास जनरेशनल वेल्थ है तो आप 1% 2% एक्सपोजर लेके देखो, एंड उसमें फिर अगर आपको नॉलेज एंड एक्सपीरियंस आता है तो फिर आप डायरेक्टली इन्वेस्ट कर सकते हो, एज लॉन्ग एज यू हैव सम प्रोफेशन. तो यूजुअली कहते हैं देयर आर सेकंड जनरेशन, थर्ड जनरेशन कमिंग इन, और देमसेल्व्स हैविंग इनफ टाइम, क्या इवैल्यूएट भी करेंगे अपना खुद का नाम यूज होगा, और यू विल हायर समवन इंटरनली. तो वो सैलरी कॉस्ट इज लेसर देन द मैनेजमेंट फीस. अगर आप उतना अमाउंट लगा रहे हो तो फिर आपके लिए इट मेक्स सेंस.
हाँ भैया, अगर तुम 100 करोड़ लगा रहा है और उसका मैनेजमेंट फीस जो है तुम 1.5 करोड़ दे रहा है, 50 लाख में तो तुम जो है शरद बंसल को हायर करके रख लेगा.
चला ले तो. Exactly, but that's the calculation how they do it.
आपको ये नहीं था यार, ये इतना पैसा वाली अंदर जो है.
No, what I didn't appreciate, I know there is enough of that money and more in Jaipur alone. I just didn't know that there was appetite being built to invest in asset classes like startups, right? Like I always would take them as saying real estate चमकता है उनको, like more market में पैसा दे दिया. So
अवेयर करना पड़ रहा है.
हाँ.
अभी भी उन 500 फैमिलीज में से 50 फैमिलीज ही कर रही है.
Which is still encouraging, right? Like
But अब हमारा टारगेट क्या है कि 50 के भी कुछ हमने if we work well with them, then they all of them get some level of confidence of how you do it, and that is what is happening. So Jaipur is far ahead of, let's say, if you look at other tier 3 or tier 2 ecosystems. So Jaipur and Ahmedabad is doing fairly well compared.
They are business cities. Well, Jaipur and Ahmedabad have always been very business centric. If you compare it with, let's say, something like a.
But money is there. The money is immense money in Raipur, immense money in Indore, Bhopal, Jaipur, Vadodara. If you talk about Slither, Nagpur, Surat, ऐसा भर के है. लेकिन to get them some flavor of it, and if they understand it, give them education. So हमारी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी क्या है? एज अ warmup venture हमारी फंडिंग रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी सिर्फ इतनी नहीं कि पैसा ले रही है बना के देती है. ऑल्सो एजुकेट देम कि क्या हो रहा है, कहाँ लगा रहे हैं, कैसे लगा रहे हैं. It's all centralized, but also educating them continuously so that they get exposed to other funds, direct investing, strategic investing. If you're in the business of, let's say, real estate, can you do some prop tech investments also directly with a higher exposure, help the founders to grow? So मेरे पास 40 LPs हैं, 40 investors in my fund, and everyone is coming from some or other sector of business. And if I'm investing in 20 or 30 companies, so हर founder के लिए एक या दो strategic person भी हैं who would want to help them some way. So both ways, it works both ways, and that is how the Indian emerging fund managers are trying to do. Educate the market alongside making money. So I think that is what.
But fair. So coming to you, Ankit, so competitor analysis हो गया, looking at exit हो गया. That's some of the things that on the startup investor I can look at. What about you? अगर मेरे को क्रिप्टो के अंदर चालू करना है और हमको पोटेंशियल है, हमको भैया जीरो पे डालने पे डर लगता है, तो व्हाट इज इट दैट आई कैन डू कि मैं वो वाला रिस्क को एलिमिनेट नहीं कर सकता हूँ, आई अंडरस्टैंड, बट हाउ डू आई रिड्यूस दैट रिस्क?
See, I mean, one is just saying, like, for example, it's just history, right? So our BTC ETH now, right? You're quote unquote saying they've seen enough cycles.
एक तो बीटीसी ईथ की बजाय तुम बिटकॉइन और इथेरियम बोलना चालू कर देता हूँ, नहीं चमकता है बीटीसी.
Sorry, बिटकॉइन और
इथेरियम अलग अलग होता है क्या?
ETH और इथेरियम सेम है.
एक इथेरियम से नहीं, इथर
सब इथर को नॉट में स्पेसिफाई इथर ऐसा इथर कुछ है नहीं.
इथर कुछ है नहीं. तो गैस वाला वो जो था इथर का गैस होगा कुछ तो बोला.
इथेरियम पे जब तुम ट्रांजैक्ट करता है तो एक गैस फी होता है, वो हर ब्लॉकचेन पे होता है. उसके लिए हमें और 2-3 घंटा लगेगा.
ओके डन. अभी मेरे को यही बता कि मैं क्या ऐसे इसको अवॉइड.
नो, सो माय थिंग इज लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल उस दिन हमारा डिस्कशन हो रहा था कि गोल्ड एज एन एसेट क्लास और गोल्ड में इतना वोलेटिलिटी होता है नहीं होता. आई डोंट नो इट्स वर्थ आई कैन.
नहीं मुझे
हां अभी मतलब आई डोंट नो, यू गाइस शुड गो चेक गोल्ड का चार्ट देखो पिछले 50 साल का, बिटकॉइन का चार्ट देखो पिछले 10 12 24 साल का, राइट? आई बहुत ज्यादा डिफरेंस नहीं है, राइट? गोल्ड और लाइक बिटकॉइन ऑब्वियसली हैज मच मोर वोलेटिलिटी. But maybe it's because it's been what 14 years, right? Gold has been like for 500 years or whatever.
5,000 what? मतलब
I mean, I don't think उसका चार्ट है ना, मतलब उसका
चार्ट नहीं है.
I'm just saying you've had enough time for gold to also, like, gold initially was pretty volatile, right? So I'm making that argument which is saying अभी gold भी कल को zero हो सकता है ना, मतलब ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. So same with BTC. So my argument is BTC and ETH just I think to filter ले ले market cap का, right?
Okay.
Like Ethereum and what I think half a $20 or something. Whatever, I don't even know. I sound stupid. My crypto investor, I'm just a shit poster. But arguably, both Bitcoin and ETH have enough market cap to say कि यार कल को zero तो नहीं हो सकता है, right? So that's sort of one way to safeguard कि अगर मैं BTC ETH में डाल रहा हूँ तो यार zero तो नहीं हो रहा है, right? और Solana or like whatever, right? अभी like for example Luna, who has zero, right? But it's also saying it was lower compared to a BTC ETH in terms of market cap or whatever, right? So for example, I will today अगर बोलना है कि risk protect करना है, even though Doge also is today like $30 billion market cap, right? I will still say भाई वो खरीदेगा तो मेरी गारंटी नहीं है, right? But BTC ETH is now legitimized enough. Like BTC हो गया, Ethereum थोड़े टाइम में हो सकता है ETF आया तो, but वो argument holds कि अगर safeguard करना है तो that is one, which is just invest in these 2 top 3 top 4 by market cap, right?
Okay, so what are the ones? BTC number 1?
BTC है, ETH है,
नंबर 3 पे कौन है अभी?
नंबर 3 आई थिंक सोलाना चल रहा होगा या USDT which is stable coin होता है.
Nobody remembers the third.
Nobody remembers the third.
No.
सोलाना तो देसी है ना, इंडिया जस्ट
Pneumatic DC.
मैटिक देसी है.
Right. So I mean.
So how do you get this insight of कि अब क्या निकलने वाला है?
And this is where I think I said, right, which is saying crypto is not so much about the capital you have, it's about the time you're ready to invest, right? There are people who just hang out in Discord and Twitter, right, and are making generational wealth. I keep giving you those examples, right? $1,000 डाला 3 हफ्ते बाद $500,000, right? And there are enough shit posters who don't do that, but you can read data on chain, right? The on chain दिखता है उसने एक coin कितने का खरीदा था और कितने का बेचा. There are legit people who have made $1 million trades, a single trade making them $1 million or more. Right? So मतलब there is enough and more of that. But to your point saying how do you build that is when you can't just say कि वजीर एक्स पे list होगा तो मैं दिमाग लगा लूँगा. By the time it lists on a centralized exchange वो alpha तो निकल चुका है.
भाई ये वो IPO वाली कहानी हो गई. भैया तुमको घुसना है तो तुमको सीड पे घुसना है.
But the other argument around it is कि risk, like what he said, right? Sharad said कि sometimes आपके पास tech वैक सब सही है, आपका market cap या market size ही नहीं है. Right? See, sometimes the outside gains has also come wherein आपको उस समय नहीं लग रहा कि इसका market size नहीं है. Like the classic ex-Uber guy, right? So deal that. आप Uber का first pitch deck देखो, उसने I think best case scenario I think 50 million या 100 million market cap का दिया. अभी मेरे को बोलने का जरूरत नहीं है ना. So I'm just saying it is a counter trade. Like अगर if you think about asset classes also, like crypto will also be that contrarian trade you're doing, which is saying कि यार I don't even know because Bitcoin technically करता कुछ नहीं है वो. मतलब अगर तुम tech wise उसको evaluate करेगा, does nothing. It just yes it's a distributed ledger and all that argument you can make. But I'm saying that is where nobody is sort of saying ना कि जो भी rationally सोच रहा है कि why should I invest in this? Those people are potentially saying कि नहीं करता मैं. It also makes it a great asset to saying कि इतना भीड़ ही नहीं है. So if there are a small number of people sort of building that conviction, they're also not selling that.
True.
Right. The other thing is, for example, to safeguard your investment, right? Like I won't spend time. There's a concept called staking, which a lot of coins do, right? Which is saying तुम अगर Ethereum तुम्हारे पास है, तुम उसको stake कर सकता है. I won't go into technicalities, but तुम anywhere year का 4 से 5% yield बना सकता है उसमें. तूने ऐसे बेचा भी नहीं है, तेरे को हर साल 4-5% उस पे आ रहा है. So if you think from a classic sort of financial asset management, you will say I will invest in assets that bear yield. तो इसलिए भी zero जाने का risk थोड़ा Ethereum में कम है. Like for example, Solana offers staking rewards, right? AVAX, Avalanche offers staking rewards. ऐसा नहीं कि zero नहीं है. I'm just saying कि वो technically yield bearing asset बन गया है.
तो उसकी probability कम हो गई है.
Probability कम है. अब डोज है, हाँ कल को zero जा सकता है ना, because अभी तुम मैं और हम तीनों बोल रहे हैं कि यार डोज में तो वैल्यू है इसकी कीमत $1 होनी चाहिए एक टोकन की. कल हमारा मन करे बोला नहीं यार 10 सेंट भी नहीं होनी चाहिए इसकी. So that's what, because the community is saying this is worth this. It has no revenue generation, nothing happening. But Ethereum is generating revenue, it is giving you yield back. BTC you know कि 21 मिलियन से ज़्यादा नहीं होगा. It is a distributed ledger. आपने enough use cases देख लिए हैं कि तुम अपना पैसा नहीं कंट्रोल करता है. So think of a world wherein you saying कि like मतलब extreme scenarios, you want access to your money, right? Nobody can touch it.
Correct.
Like on a very philosophical level, it's just crazy कि तुम साला हम बात करते हैं 10 करोड़ का नेटवर्थ, 20 करोड़ का नेटवर्थ, लेकिन अगर वो बैंक में पड़ा है, the government can tomorrow decide to freeze that. Or the bloody bank does it how many times यार? तुम अभी मैं मतलब US वायर करते हो तुम्हें अगर $25 वायर करना है तो $20 तो फीस ले रहा है और 4 दिन में पहुंचाता है पैसा. Like we are talking about 2024. Like technically तुम अभी USDC अगर तुम्हारे पास सुलाना में है, I click a button किसी भी देश में हो तुम हो गया तुम्हारे को पैसा अभी 1 मिनट में, right? So there is a real use case also कि why should I pay exorbitant fees, wait 3 days to transfer my own bloody money when I can do it at the click of a button. So I mean वो सब philosophical.
वो हाँ मतलब those are bigger arguments, but
that's sort of one argument in terms of which coins do you buy that reduce the risk. The other one is simply the other one I tell people is कि even though आप investing के लिए कर रहे हो, I always recommend people take that money out of a centralized exchange and take it on a wallet, which is basically अपना wallet में self custody जिसे कहते हैं. जैसे Vested के साथ जो ड्रामा हुआ, FTX जो exchange, right? सब बंद हुई companies. The thing is सबके फंड अटक गए because वो Vested की custody में थे. अब एक्चुअली वो पैसा निकाल के अपने वॉलेट में डाल दिया होता, तो यू रिड्यूस दैट थर्ड पार्टी रिस्क. तुम
वेस्टेड का भी हुआ था क्या?
वेस्टर्न खाए क्या? वॉल्ट, सॉरी, आई एम वेरी सॉरी.
वॉल्ट हाँ,
वो मत कर देना.
हाँ वॉल्ट का.
हाँ वॉल्ट. बुरा इंटेंशन उनका भी नहीं रहा, बट तूने एज ए इन्वेस्टर तूने उनके पास ईथ रखवाया हुआ है अपना. आई एम जस्ट सेइंग द होल आर्ग्यूमेंट ऑफ क्रिप्टो इज सेल्फ कस्टडी. लाइक वन ऑफ द ईथोस इज डिसेंट्रलाइज्ड है, तो वो ईथोस को एटलीस्ट उतना एफर्ट मारो कि तुम जितना भी पैसा डाल रहे हो, लाइक यू डोंट हैव टू डू इट एवरी डे. फॉर एग्जांपल तुम 1000 रुपए के एसआईपी कर रहा है महीने. आई एम जस्ट सेइंग जब वो आधा ईथ या एक ईथ बन जाता है
तो निकाल दे.
टेक इट एंड टू अ वॉलेट दैट यू ओन द कीज फॉर, राइट. तब अगर वजीर जो भी कंपनी के पास तुम कर रहा है, अगर वो बंद हो गया या वो फ्रॉड निकला, तेरा पैसा तेरे पास. एंड लाइक आई एम जस्ट सेइंग दैट्स व्हाट द कांसेप्ट ऑफ होल क्रिप्टो इज, राइट. आई एम जस्ट सेइंग इट्स योर कस्टडी. नोबडी एल्स कैन गवर्न हाउ यू सॉर्ट ऑफ व्हेन यू शुड हैव एक्सेस और नॉट.
एक्चुअली होता क्या है ना यार कि हम लोगों के अभी जो इन्वेस्टमेंट्स हैं, चाहे वो स्टॉक मार्केट के अंदर है, चाहे म्यूचुअल फंड के अंदर है, वो सब करके हम लोग किसी और के पास में छोड़ देते हैं. मेरी जिम्मेदारी नहीं है कि भाई मेरे जो शेयर हैं वो कहीं पड़े हैं, वो डीमैट के अंदर हैं या किसी फंड के पास में पड़े हैं, ऑल ऑफ दैट. बट क्रिप्टो के अंदर ये जिम्मेदारी तुम बोल रहा है कि तुम अगर अपने पास में लेके रख लेते हो तो इट इज रिलेटिवली बेटर.
Yeah, I mean, it is right because then you reduce the counterparty risk, right? Like because तुम अभी HDFC बैंक को तुम ट्रस्ट कर रहे हैं ना,
हाँ.
अभी तुम CoinDCX या वजीरेस को सेम लेवल ऑफ ट्रस्ट नहीं देगा.
बिल्कुल नहीं दूंगा.
Right? So that is why I'm saying that is one argument of saying, like for example, Coinbase in the US offers both custodial buying, which is saying Coinbase के पास तेरा पैसा पड़ा, क्रिप्टो पड़ा है. They also offer a self custody option, and it's happening, right? CoinDCX has launched this wallet called Octo या Otco, which is a third, which is a Web3 wallet. तो they now are saying कि तेरे को CoinDCX से इथेरियम ले जाना है वहाँ पे तो ले जाओ, because eventually they will realize कि भाई अगर वो core ethos है तो आपको ही देना चाहिए versus some other company taking. Right? So that's sort of what happens. So to your point, one, I believe इतना effort मारना is worth it, right? Because see, sometimes you have to like हम extreme सोचते नहीं है ना. Like imagine that situation, right, where you're saying the government is saying no, you can't withdraw your own money. So in that, like it's worth earning that. But also to your point, I think another 2-3 years, and as sort of regulatory environment becomes more certain, I'm sure there will be enough companies that will tell you, कि Handa, you give me $1,000, I will buy Ethereum with it, I will send it to a self-custody wallet. तो मेरे पास नहीं है risk. ये तेरे को करना है जब भी तेरे को login करना है, बेचना है. So it's also like you have to also understand like it's not even been 2 decades of crypto, right? So अगर आप उसको as a maturity curve पे देखोगे तभी तो as a tech product that you will use, you don't expect कि
हो जाएगा, टाइम लगेगा, still early days.
Exactly.
तो आई थिंक हम लोगों की बियर भी खत्म हो गई है और हम लोगों की बातें भी खत्म होने को आ गई हैं. सो विल रैप अप दिस सेशन हियर. उम्मीद करता हूँ आप लोगों को ये एपिसोड अच्छा लगा होगा. प्लीज़ हमारे चैनल को लाइक करें, सब्सक्राइब करें, एंड होपफुली विल हैव यू गाइस अगेन फॉर अनदर न्यू वेरी सून. थैंक यू.